Welcome. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a free class on remote viewing. Like I said in the trailer or in the announcement, that is what we're going to do today. We're going to practice remote viewing. This video is also going to be uploaded on YouTube. So if you want to watch it again, if you want to go through the lessons again, which I recommend and which is something that you probably should do, you can do that, right? So let's begin. And I probably should go into my own history with this subject, remote viewing, okay? Just to give you some context. Now, as you probably already know, if you've been following me, if you've been watching my videos and follow my teachings, you know that I started quite early with magic, right? I was lucky enough to be taught. And I had multiple teachers. Now, I grew up in the south of Germany, Bavaria, right? In the Munich area. And one of my teachers there was a shaman. Okay, he was a shaman, and it's kind of funny to say that because he was like ethnically German, but he was a shaman. Which I don't want to make it sound weird, but it's a very Germany is a very how do I put it? It's a very secularized country, just like most of Europe. Religion and even spirituality, alternative spirituality, is almost non-existent. Very secularized, right? But he had a very interesting history in itself, you know. So he basically wasn't human. He took on a human body, but he had the soul of an extraterrestrial, right? Now, believe it or not, there are many people like that, maybe even you. And for some reason, you have decided to take on a human body. So all kinds of different creatures, all kinds of, all kinds of different beings, from, demons, angels, celestial beings, ETs, anything you can imagine can temporarily take on a human form, right? So his particular ET origin were kind of like reptilian, not the reptilians that you might have heard of listening to David Icke and other things, right? But what I'm telling you here is 100% the truth. So what that basically means is that his energy body looked a little bit different than the energy body of a human being would look, right? And also he had different characteristics as well. His personality was a little bit different, all right? A little bit non-human, so to speak, okay? Non-human tendencies, whatever that means. I'm not going to go into the details here, right? But at the same time, his job was essentially to help people evolve, all right? So the reason for him to incarnate here is essentially to help whoever he comes across. Maybe that's not correctly said. Not whoever he comes across, but the people that are ready to receive teachings, to receive guidance. It's his job to help them. And at the same time, he was a shaman. And as a shaman, he was doing what a shaman does. He would have a specific spirit that he had made a strong pact with, essentially. And he would, do what shamans do, which is trauma healing, which is soul retrieval. I don't know if you knew that, but people that undergo trauma, they lose parts of their soul, so to speak. It's not accessible to them, and shamans work in a worldview with 3 different levels. Okay, there's the upper world, the middle world, and the underworld. And the shaman is responsible for being the one who guides people into these other worlds, and also is kind of like the communicator, the one that he's an ambassador between the other worlds, between the more subtle worlds, between more subtle beings, which includes extraterrestrials, which includes celestial beings, which includes the spirits that we work with in witchcraft, and humans, right? Also the animal kingdom, of course, also the mineral kingdom, the all of these things, the forests, all of these things have spirits in them. And as a shaman, you are kind of like the connector. You're the spokesperson for those other people, for those other realms, and you connect them to people, right? But so that was basically his work. That's what he was doing. But at the same time, he was also a remote viewing trainer. And let me take a step back. What is remote viewing, or what is CRV essentially? What is CRV? That's called controlled remote viewing, which is a military protocol, which was developed by the U.S. military, and it's a they became aware of the KGB during the Cold War using psychics to spy on the other side, on American facilities, and they were getting great results. So what they had to do is they had to train their own military psychics, essentially, right? And they developed a very effective protocol that I also went through, which is called controlled remote viewing. Using controlled remote viewing, they would get consistent and very, very accurate results of what's going on in the middle in the enemy camp. Right now, CRV usually uses pen and paper. Right now, as you use pen and paper more and more and more, you become aware of the actual mechanism that's going on in your mind. So let me describe the process. So as you're using controlled military, controlled remote viewing, what you're doing is you have a piece of paper in front of you, as well as a number. Okay. They give you a number which has been associated with a target. The target is what you're supposed to remote view and see. Now, you're not given any information about the actual target in order to avoid front load. That's what they call it. Front load is essentially information that could mess with the clarity and the purity of the information that you receive as you're remote viewing. So they don't give you the actual target. Let's say I want to see what the Russian general is doing right now, or I want to see where the enemy tanks are. No, they write the actual targets, such as the enemy lines or the tanks or whatever. They write that on a piece of paper. They close and seal the paper inside of an envelope, and then they give that target a number. What you receive as the remote viewer is only the number, right? But this number is now associated with the target. So what you receive is the number, right? And then you go through a specific protocol and you draw whatever is coming through your subconscious mind. And believe it or not, that's a very, very effective method of basically spying on whatever it is that you want. Now, I'm going to go into why that works and how that is even possible in just a second, right? But back to my friend, essentially, right? So back to my teacher. It's been a long time since I talked to that guy. Usually I speak with my teachers quite frequently, even though most of them are. I think the youngest must be in his mid 60s right now. Yeah, he probably is in his mid 60s. The oldest, some of them already passed on, and the oldest still living is late 80s, So this man in itself, the shaman, was a very interesting individual, very, very antisocial, which I think you can understand if he had such an eclectic life and such strange experiences that he couldn't really share with a lot of people. He was literally, imagine a man that wears I don't know, like I'm going to describe to you what he looked like. Maybe you can work with that image, right? So he would usually wear a big hat, big glasses, big man, long beard, he would have a strong Bavarian accent, and he had the eyes. He had eyes that would like it would look. If you looked him in the eyes, it would look like darts of fire, laser beams would come out. That's how much power he had. So through interesting coincidences. Coincidences do not exist, right? I became a student, so I got to know his mother. His father had already passed on, but what basically was happening to him is he was born into a family of magicians. His father had been a lifelong occultist, and he would give him, as a child, he would give him magical literature. Right now, mind you, that guy was born in the 50s. In the 50s, and that's post Nazi Germany, right? So a very, very different society, and yeah, so he would get the available magical literature, which was, hey, by the way, the pre Second World War, Germany was a hotspot for occult research. Okay, hypnosis. A lot of Saturnian orders were developed here. Also, German Freemasonry is very, very has a lot of secrets that many other branches don't have. So, there was a lot of occultism here. If you know anything about the Nazis themselves, maybe you know that the Nazis they were occultists. Um, but never mind. The point is, he was given the magical literature that was available, and not being human, he would develop super fast. It was not even developing. It was about just accessing what he already knew how to do, right? And then he would tell his father, as I don't know, a 5-year-old, as soon as he could speak, he would tell his father, his biological human father, I'm not human. I'm not human. I am this and that and the other. You tell him about the seraphim, about this extraterrestrial race, and all of these things, right? And during that time, society was very different. So anything that was slightly out of the norm, outside of the norm, would just be put into an insane asylum, right? And these insane asylums were not nice places. They would not try to help those people. It was brutal. They would be beaten. They would use water. What the fuck's that called? Water hoses to fucking punish them. Cold water, ice cold, like torturous methods, right? So I'm saying post Second World War Germany was a very different society than it is now, right? So brutal. And by the way, the U.S. was no different, or other countries were not really much different back then. Those were different times, very unenlightened times, so to speak, right? A lot of things have improved. Yeah. So the point is, so his father told him to never speak of that ever, because he had to protect him, right? Now that made him develop sort of like he repressed that memory, essentially, right? He repressed that memory. He would still grow up, and he would still be taught by his father and others eventually, like in the occult arts, right? But this identity of what he actually was stayed suppressed right up to his late teenage years. He eventually went on to university to study Sanskrit. All right, he became an expert in multiple different occult fields. He was an expert in the Kabbalah, an expert in even like hieroglyphics. He knew, like, he was very, very good at ancient Egyptian magic, various different systems. Enochian magic was one of his fortes, which is very, very dangerous for most people. I think. Listen, I have met 2 people who was it 2? I don't want to lie here. It might have been more than that, but most people that I've met, even one of my ex-girlfriends, I have never met or I've met very, very few people who are able to go very, very deep with Enochian magic and not go crazy. It's a very, very dangerous system. You need to be built for it in some way or another, right? So let me continue. So during his late teens, he went to university and studied Sanskrit out of everything. Why would you study Sanskrit? Because Sanskrit has many magical properties. And if you're a dedicated occultist, it's not out of the ordinary to study that. If you want to go deeper into the Vedas and you know, do whatever you're doing there, if your whole life is dedicated to that, why not? So yeah, that should give you that should give you an idea of that individual. Now, he was always, and he was very eclectic, just like myself, and he would always continue to study new things, right? And after a while, he also became a remote viewing trainer. Okay, controlled remote viewing, that protocol he would teach, and he would also, in his free time, he would do out of body travels to search for treasures that have been hidden, by the Nazis. In Germany, there are still a lot of treasures in the mountains hidden by the Nazis, right? And he was trying to find some of them. He did actually also, but he didn't do that alone by himself, right? He was also deeply involved with the UFO research and exopolitics, right? Because he himself was one of them. Now, during his late teens, he had that memory recovered through something I don't want to go into right now. But his memory came back, and then he became a shaman, and so on and so forth, right? Now that man, through various coincidences, became my teacher, and we were practicing, among other things, we were practicing the runes together. I learned a lot about the runes from him. He was actually one of my main teachers when it came to the runes. I have no one else I can say taught me as much about the runes, especially that all runic magic is blood magic. Now that's a principle that a lot of people forget, right? What was this man's name again? I'm not going to tell you his name, my friend. I'm not going to tell you his name. You don't think I want you to hit him up after this? He's not interested in talking to you. I guarantee that. And that's not because I'm not trying to insult you. It's not because it's you. It's because he's not interested in talking to people. So I'm not going to name his name here. So yeah, he taught me a lot about chaos magic. He taught me a lot about runic magic. He taught me a lot about Enochian magic, and about remote viewing, controlled remote viewing. Now, see, that was kind of like my first introduction to what remote viewing is, or how to go through a specific protocol in order to reproduce the results, right? There are many magicians out there that can not do these things. They cannot take their consciousness somewhere else and perceive what's going on in a different place, right? There are many magicians out there who claim they can talk to spirits, but can't do that. They can't astral travel. But all of these abilities are based on the same conditions. Okay. Why is that even possible? So when you look at the universe and how it's constructed, we got physical objects, right? Physical objects are macroscopic objects. Macroscopic means big objects, right? Now, the deeper we go into the basis of reality, we see unity. It's one energy field. It's one energy field, and that energy field also contains information. And that information is spread out holographically. What is a hologram? A hologram means that each part reflects the whole, right? So when we look at consciousness, it means that every part of consciousness can know and interact with every other part of consciousness, no matter where it is located. So since at the basis of all things there is consciousness, and you have consciousness as well, you can tap into that and know what's going on in other places. That is the basis. That's how it works. What you also learn is, as I learned, going through that process of controlled remote viewing, the military process, is that after a while, you don't need that anymore. You don't need the pen. You don't need the paper. You don't need to draw anymore. The whole process that you do with your pen and paper and the steps that they take you through is a crutch. It is something that allows your conscious mind to get out of the way. And that is the essential point that you have to understand. Things like remote viewing, things like spirit communication, things like astral travel are easy. If you can get your own self out of the way. Your mind needs to get out of the way. Now, Frank, what are you talking about? My mind needs to get out of the way. I'm using my mind to do that stuff. How can I get it out of the way? Now, don't mistake your mind with the editorial functions of your brain. As you're taking in this information, and as you're listening to me, you're editing things. You probably have a conversation going on in your mind, or your mind is being drawn towards other things, you see. That part is the conscious part. That's the conscious mind. Yeah. The things that you're aware of. Below that or behind that, there's silent awareness. And that's what you need to access. And that part is everywhere, can be everywhere instantaneously, and can know anything and everything at all times. It's like intuition. It's the basis of intuition. If you've ever thought of somebody popped into your mind, and you received a phone call of that person a couple minutes later or a couple seconds later, that was that connection. If you ever felt something happening or something threatening you, and then shortly after it happens, that was that connection, you know. There are millions of examples that I could give you, but one example that comes to mind right now for whatever reason is essentially a fight that I had with two guys, a physical fight. It was in 2010, and I was taking a nap. I was taking a nap and I was sleeping, and I was dreaming. And in my dream, I saw myself fighting. I didn't see the faces or whatever, but I saw eventually blood dripping on the floor. Boop, boop, boop. And right after, I went outside. I went for a walk, and somebody was talking shit. I was talking shit back. Blah blah blah. One thing led to another, and yeah, I started fighting with one of them, and his friend sucker punched me from the side. Right now, I was fighting two guys, and I did, and the fight ended because the one that I started the fight with, I caught him here and I gave him a cut. And as that happened, uh, he basically started to call his older brother, which turned out to be like organized crime or whatever, mafia. Never mind. Anyways, so the blood then dripping on the floor, it was like, okay, fuck. That's exactly what I saw. So the point is, we constantly have these experiences. I'm sure you have a lot of experiences like that too. You know, you get a hunch of something, you get an intuition about this and that and the other. You could also call it remote viewing something. Yeah. Also, you have to understand that you're accessing a large amount of information at once. So it's not necessarily that that stuff has to unpack. It can come to you in one large insight, so to speak. So when you take your attention somewhere, you could know a million things all at once. And the verbalization is then the unpacking of that information. Okay. So, but that's a different story. So the point is, when you remote view something, you don't need a pen and paper. What you need is to get your own mind out of the way. You need to get your own mind out of the way. And as you get your own mind out of the way, there's another mind, the greater mind, the smaller mind, which is your ego, which identifies itself with you and with the action, with the activity. That's the smaller mind. As you drop and let go of that, you will access a greater mind. And that greater mind is an ocean of energy, and it's what we all share. This is where all things, like an ocean, we are the waves on that ocean that come and go. Your body will die, just like all other things are temporary, emergent things that will go, that will disappear. But what's always there is the ocean. This is the nature of existence. And that applies to all things. That applies to ETs, that applies to spirits, that applies to all of those things. They're just waves on top of this ocean, just like us. That's why when you begin to learn to be in tune with this ocean, with this never ending and eternal presence, you will become aware of the things that are here that are not visible to the physical eyes, but they're still here. They're just slightly shifted out of the frequency of visible light. They're here, they're everywhere. So you will walk through nature and you will see these things that are they're not in the physical, but they're not in the spiritual yet. So they appear like transparent figures. That's how spirits often choose to appear. You know, sometimes they're overlapping natural structures too. So you will see kind of like a facial structure or body structure or whatever overlapping specifically natural structures. This is also how a lot of extraterrestrials choose to appear here. Not in the physical, not completely outside of it, but in between, a semi-transparent, semi-translucent figure. You know, and what also comes with that is this awareness of everything being connected. You see, and life will feel like a dream. You know, when we are in the conscious mind, we're in a very almost fight or flight state, which is very much, you know, focused either on the past or the future. It's a very narrow awareness. And when we connect to this this greater ocean, it really feels like it's one big moment. Everything is just one big moment. No rush, no nothing. It's just you're walking through a dream. Now, so I told you I learned that CRV protocol, controlled remote viewing, right? The military protocol. And doing that for a long time shows you and teaches you that you will not need it anymore, right? Now, initially, my teacher, the dragon, the dragon will tell me, well, that takes 10 years of practice until you don't need that anymore. But I have always progressed very, very fast, and he had to acknowledge my extraordinary talent, which is a fact. And I say that without pride. I say that as a fact. I'm one of the most talented occultists I know, for sure. And so using that for a while, maybe 6 months, I would practice with a guy that was also interested in magic. Also, honestly, I have not spoken to this guy for at least 8 years. I don't know what he's doing right now. I'm not interested in doing what he's doing. And I'm not interested in knowing what he's doing. I know he was about to get married, but he was also practicing magic. He had gotten into it a little bit, right? So I was just working with him, not as a teacher, but more like a like a we were practicing. This is when I was 21, I believe, 2021, somewhere around that. So what we would do is we would practice remote viewing, and I would have an object on my table and tell him, okay, it's on my desk right now. Remote view it, and he would try to see it. And he would do the same thing. He would put things on wherever he was on the table and have me remote view it. I don't know how many times. I don't know how many times I tried to do it. I tried to do it. I tried to do it. And I was spending so much time in meditation back then. Like I still meditate a lot, right? But back then I was so obsessed. I would spend, I'm not lying, 4 to 5 hours every day in meditation or more, just trying to master these abilities, out of body travel, lucid dreaming, uh, remote viewing, all of these things, right? That would be a large chunk of my day besides whatever else I would have to do. And I don't know how many times I practiced, but what I had learned already is, as I had practiced magic for many, many years, when I could reach a point that was outside of my mind and I would just focus on one intention, eventually the mind would adjust to that attention, to that intention. And then the mind would adjust my physiology, and my inner vision and my inner experience would match the original intention. This is still how I teach magic to this point, right? So a lot of the tools became irrelevant for the actual ritual to accomplish. And I learned that my body was the instrument. The emotions, the mind, and all of that are just tools that were to be used by what? By my higher awareness, by the part of myself that was connected, was one with this ocean of consciousness, right? So, with that insight, I then eventually became one with this thing, with this ocean of consciousness, and I would just become, not knowing what it is. See, this is the key. Can you become something not knowing what it is? So can you hold on to the intention to be? You don't try to see something, you are it. You see? Because
you're not, your mind is not going there. It's your connection to this, to the source, which is one. Everything is one. And this part must now become this part. So you intend to be whatever you want to know and see. And then your mechanism, your energy field and whatever, your energy body, as well as your third eye, will show you what it is that you want to know. So I realized I became one with this field of consciousness, and then I intended to be whatever he had put on that table. And in a perfectly clear 3D hologram inside of my mind's eye, and eventually projected in front of me, appeared a Nike shoe. A model, I don't remember the model, it must have been Jordans or something like that. A perfectly clear 3-dimensional hologram of, I don't know what Jordans those were, but it was a perfectly clear Nike shoe. I think you can imagine that was absolutely correct. And that was one of the major breakthroughs when it came to remote viewing. After that, remote viewing became a piece of cake, but because it is simply about merging with this energy field that is in everything and becoming whatever it is that you want to know. And then your nervous system is going to show you what you're trying to see. And that is the secret to it all. So if I want to remote view someone or something, don't imagine it as this fancy process and there's something external that looks crazy, whatever, or you have to be completely tranced out. No. Now I'm going to guide you into a meditation. I'm going to guide you into a meditative state in just a second, where you can, because I'm assuming a lot of you don't have the meditation experience that I have. I'm actually a certified meditation teacher, right? And I have meditation practice of many, many years. But the more you meditate, the more this expanded state becomes second nature. It's always in the background, and you just have to turn your attention there, and you can merge with this ocean, right? But if I want to remote view something, I will just a little bit turn my attention inwards, and now I'm becoming aware of this greater awareness. And then I just become one with whatever I want to know. I'm now viewing what would I want to know? I wanna see what my my alien teacher is doing right now. Yeah, and I can see him in front of his computer. He started drinking again, but it's not hard liquor. It's just wine. I thought you wanted to stop. Good. He's sad. I think he's ready to go. He's ready to go. Well, he always was antisocial, but now he's like, um, I think he's had enough. Good. So that's how simple it is. And what I want to do now is I want to guide you, because it's already been more than half an hour. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to guide you into a meditation that you can practice by yourself. And I'm going to try to show you, and I'm going to try to transfer it to you, because all teaching is really transference. So what I'm going to do is try to transfer this understanding over, because words are not sufficient. It is very simple. It is so simple that the mind has a problem understanding it or grasping it, because it is such a natural thing. A baby could do it. Why? Because a baby has consciousness. Everything that has consciousness can do it. It's not an ego thing. It is simple. And the less you think about it, the less you rationalize it, the easier it is. Okay? So close your eyes. Close your eyes and pay attention to the breath and allow your attention to go inwards. All you do is you let go of all thoughts. Thoughts are going to come. Those thoughts are connected to energy impulses, and let them just run through your nervous system. Don't attach yourself to them. Don't give them any meaning. Let them run through your system. Doesn't matter. You don't have to react. Just let go. See, there's a part of you that is observing. There's a part of you that is observing your body. There's a part of you that is observing your emotion. There's a part of you that is observing your energy. There's a part of you that is observing your thoughts. But that part is not your ego or your identity. It is your eternal self. That self is also going to move on when your body is not functioning anymore. So this is, in the best way you could describe it, is essentially awareness. It is awareness that can be aware of a lot of things. So become aware of the room around you. Become aware of the house that you're in, the entire house all at once. Become aware of it. Become aware of the city that you're in. You don't need to see an image. Just an awareness is enough. How far and wide is the city? Become aware of the country that you're in, all of it at once. Become aware of the entire globe all at once, Earth. All of Earth, become aware of it. Now become aware of the solar system. All of it. And now become aware that all things are connected through an invisible web. Become aware of this invisible web. It's connecting everything. It's connecting you to everything. You are the web, in fact. You are not you. You are the web. And as you become the web, now become whatever it is that you want to know or see. Good. Now become aware of your physical body again. You see? So don't judge what you get. Now, in the beginning, to to get an indicator of your correctness with it, it's good if you practice that with somebody else, because they will be able to put something on a table that you don't know, and then you can use this to remote view it, and something's going to come into your mind. And then as you keep a journal, you will have indicators to know if what you're seeing is correct or not correct, even if you don't have somebody to verify it, you see. And this is how you get better and better and better at it. But in reality, these things are so simple. It's hard for the mind to grasp how simple they are, but only because the ego mind, conscious mind, is operating from a very narrow perspective. But when you expand your perspective and you experience yourself as something greater than self, it's very easy. It's the most natural thing in the world. So I wanna stop here. I don't want to overwhelm anyone. Too much information probably, and attention span is a key factor, right? So let's go into the Q&A. I want to answer a couple of questions. So please unmute yourself and ask your question. I'm not going to ask questions reading off the chat. I'm only going to answer questions that are asked by people on camera with their real voice, okay? That's a basic respect thing. If I show my face and speak here, I want you to be able to show your face as well, okay? So just unmute yourself. I'm waiting.
Hello?
Yes, who is this?
Daniel.
Yeah, how's it going?
Doing good. I did feel like a sensation, like in the back of my head, kind of. So I just wanted to say that, like, I felt like a sharp sensation, you know. So I was like, I felt I didn't expect to feel something, but I did. As far as, so I was like, damn, that it actually worked to a certain degree, but you know, I'm still a beginner, so. But I did
because you think that's your third eye. Is that why? Or I can't hear you. Sorry.
Oh, could you repeat the question, sir?
Yeah. Do you think that's your third eye, or why did you take notice of that?
I don't know, to be honest. I think that it was just like, once I try to let go of my own thoughts, I kind of, it was almost, you know how, like, if you're, you know, when you drink cold water and you feel it go through your body.
Yeah.
It was kind of that same kind of feeling, like, from over this area.
Yeah. So see, what we want to do is we want to go below the conscious thought, and then as you said it correctly, what we become aware of is the bodily sensations, but we want to go even below that. So that's usually a process that happens all by itself. So just stay in the meditative state a little bit longer, and your thoughts will become less and less visceral, and then you will become more aware of what's going on in the body, and then that is even going to go into a more subtle perception, which is energy. Okay, and at that level, you can then take your mind wherever it is that you want it to go, because it's almost as if you're going from a more dense level into a more subtle level. So just stay a little bit longer in that meditative state. And what's going to happen is you're going to expand and become like this greater mind, you know, not this smaller one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, Frank.
Hi.
Yeah, I want to thank you for this exercise. Very great. I heard before about websites have CRV practice test, or they hold photos, and every photo has number, reference number. I want to ask of you or anyone here know about these websites. Who knows this website?
You're asking for a website where you can learn controlled remote viewing?
Yes, practice remote viewing.
I think Google should give you plenty of results. I couldn't really give you one teacher here, but I mean, you should probably Google. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there must be something. I think years ago there was a free seminar by what's his name? Dean Radin, I think. Dean Radin.
Yeah, I'm asking about websites hold practice, not they actually have photos, and every photo have number, and they just give you number to test yourself. Did you get the photo right or not? Not other teachers.
Well, I don't know. Okay, I don't know that.
Thank you.
Sure. Welcome.
Yeah, Frank, thanks
Yeah.
for the presentation. It was very enlightening, but during it, I have certain troubles, especially when it comes to intrusive thoughts and OCD. How does that impact our magic and manifestation?
Yeah. So imagine the whole universe is an energy system. Your body's an energy system too. Okay. So your thoughts are energy impulses that are running through your system. So if you don't meditate, if you don't do things like energy practices such as yoga or whatever, the energy gets stuck and it's running through your system. It's like a knots over upon knots upon knots, right? So as you begin to unwind, you first become aware of all of this stuck energy, and you have to let it run its course. The best way to deal with that is to just let it flow through your system. As you don't resist the flow of that energy anymore, because usually what happens is as you go through your day, you're trying to suppress thoughts, you're trying to suppress certain things, right? So you create this huge amount of energy that is stuck. So as you then let go and unwind, all of these impulses begin to run their course, and eventually you'll be free of them. They just have to run through your system. And then as that has happened, less and less intrusive thoughts are going to be there, and you're going to be in more subtle perceptions.
Thanks.
Sure. Okay. All right, guys. So hold on, we got a little message here. Yes, please go ahead. I can't hear you.
It's me again, Daniel.
Mhm.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I had I sent you a direct message. I don't know if you got to see it. I'm not trying to disturb the class at all, but it was about the another program, but I haven't been able to get in touch with you.
Did you send it here?
Yeah, in the chat directly to you.
Yes, I can see it. Okay. Are you connected to me on social media, Facebook or something like that?
No.
Instagram?
No, I talked with Wasi Risa.
Okay. Okay, can you Yeah. Can you send an email, please, on to this email address? 1 second. It's going to be answered within 24 hours. Okay. Support.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. Support at Grill of the Serpent. Yep. That one, please.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. I just, I wanted to just be respectful and private at the same time.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Frank, one more question. You said that your teacher, the one that taught you this, the shaman, was able to was using remote viewing or astral projection to find buried treasure in Germany. So can it be used for other archaeological or buried things?
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
if so, how? What correspondence or what sort of sign can we use to use that?
Well, you would probably go for, okay, is there any well-known site close to the site where you want to find the treasure? As an example, okay, well, imagine there's a treasure dug or the treasure hidden next to the Eiffel Tower or close to the Eiffel Tower, right? So you would, in your remote viewing, you would ask the question or would focus on a close site to the treasure. And in your remote viewing, you would then see the Eiffel Tower, you see. And then you would go with different directions, so it's basically you have to step by step heuristically get yourself to the target.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's very unwelcome.
Welcome. Good luck.
Hello, Frank. Good afternoon.
Hello.
I wanted to make a small question. When I was young, I don't know if this is remote viewing or it's astral projection, but when I was in school, I used to like imagine that I used to turn like in a bird, and I would go home and see if what my mother was cooking, like to just check out. And I normally, out of 10, I used to get like 7 times it right. So I just wanted to know if this is remote viewing or is it astral projection? Thank you very much.
Might be both of them. You can definitely do both. They're all both based on the same thing. So, but I mean, what you were saying there is I would say astral projection. But what are you doing if you're going somewhere astrally and you're observing what's going on there? Is that remote viewing, astral projection? Probably both. Yeah.
Okay, thank
but
you very
if you
much.
don't want to, no problem. If you don't want to leave, if you don't want to leave your body and just want to go there directly and see what's going on there, then use remote viewing. If you enjoy becoming a bird, an animal, whatever, and you can become anything, then yeah, use that. It's fun. Sure. Okay. Cool. I'm going to wrap it up now. Hopefully you got something out of this. And I'm sure I'm going to do some free sessions as well in the future with some new ones. This is going to be uploaded on YouTube. So if you want to go through it again, of course you can do that. Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.